All right, so my name is Ben Berg, and I'll be taking you through Google Classroom as a learning management system today. So, Google Classroom is pretty neat. It has a lot of different features that help teachers grade, manage their classwork, create new classwork, um, and overall just keep a good tally of what's going on online in their class, and it allows them to integrate technology into their classroom a little bit easier. So to start, when you make a class, it'll take you right here to settings, the class details. So I named mine Mr. Berg's physical education class. You can create a description. You can have multiple sections of the same class. I just put in one in room 100 with a subject. We'll talk about invite codes and stuff a little bit later on. That's just how you'll invite your students to the class. In the stream, which we'll talk about in a bit, you can have students be able to post and comment. Students only comment, or only teachers can post or comment. I put students can comment for this exercise. You can have classwork with condensed notifications or hidden notifications. I had attachments and details turned on to show. Um, Another cool thing is Google has a Google Meet, and if you have a full classroom account, you can manage a Meet link if you want to meet virtually for study sessions or class time if you want to meet virtually online, different stuff like that, kind of like a Zoom or a Blackboard Collaborate. They have one of those. I'm just using my personal account, so that's not something that I can manage on this one, but that is there as an option in a school setting. Calculating grades, you have a couple different options. You can have no overall grade. You can have total points grade, which I chose for this one because it'll be a little bit simpler. And then you can have weighted grades by category. You can add categories and see how much, assign a point value to them. Nothing too crazy there. You can have your overall grade shown to your students or not. I decided to have it shown for this class. So this is the stream. You can see this is the name of my class. You can customize this background picture if you want to. You can do announcements. So this is pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. You can announce it to all students or just a couple. There's some standard word processing tools. You can add a Google Drive file, a regular file, a link, or a YouTube video, and just post that. So you can see I've posted one here. Just welcoming students to the class and giving them a little bit of information about the content in here. And below all that in the stream, you have the assignments that I've posted. So you can, if I wanted to edit this or copy the link or move it to the top of the page, I can do that with this drop down menu. Students could comment down here if they really wanted to, or you can turn that feature off, like I said. And then the stream just shows everything that's posted. So announcements, assignments, different stuff like that. You can see some of the assignments I've made. In the teacher view, you can see who's turned it in, who's you've graded, and who has not completed it yet, who's been assigned but hasn't completed. So that's all pretty self-explanatory. Also on the stream, you have the class code. We can talk about that real quick right now. So when you go to people, there's a couple different ways you can invite your students. You can invite other teachers if you're co-teaching or something like that. But you have the ability to add students here, so you can send them the invite link. You could type them in an email and invite them through email, or you can do on the class code when you have students come into your class, they can have this class code up. So if I wanted to do that, I would go to classes. You can go here, create a class, which is what I did to make this one, or you could join a class. And when you join a class, you would insert the code. So, you could have this code up on the board, have students come into Google Classroom, write it in there, and that would be how they could join the class. And then they would show up in your roster here. So that tab is pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. The real meat and potatoes of Google Classroom, in my opinion, comes in this classwork page. So this is where you can create classwork and all your assignments and stuff are managed. So they have these things called topics. So you can sort your assignments into different topics. So I have this CanJam one. Here's my one CanJam assignment. Disc golf, I have these 3 disc golf assignments. And just like on the stream, it shows you the attachments. So I used Edpuzzle or Google Forms or a link or a YouTube video. It shows you all that stuff, shows you your instructions, and then it shows you who's you've graded, who's got it turned in, who's assigned, different stuff like that. So again, pretty easy, but the cool thing here is what you can do with creating assignments. I think this is really the coolest part of Google Classroom. And you saw the little notification that keeps popping up, but about adding content down here. But you can create a title. So this is an assignment. The instructions, please complete my assignment. Again, there's some word processing tools down here. But the coolest thing that I think works for Google Classroom is you can add a Google Drive file that you already have created. You could upload another file just from your computer. You could use a link, or you could add a YouTube video. And the coolest thing, I think, how this all comes in with Google and the Google Suite is you can create a new document, new slides, sheets, drawings, or forms right from this page here, and say I want to create a Google Doc to put on here. Creates one for me, brings me right here to it. And now this is attached to this assignment. So I think that's pretty neat, and you can type whatever you wanted in here. You can make a quiz, you could make assignment instructions, anything you really wanted on there, and that goes right into the assignment. The rest of the logistical stuff about creating an assignment, this is this little drop down tab, which I don't have any other classes, but if I did, that would show me all the classes I have, and I could select which class I would want to assign it to. You could click different students. So if you had alternative assessments or something like that, you could click for individual students to get each assignment, assign a point value. So I could assign it for 1 point, 10 points, 15 points, whatever. Create a due date on the calendar here. Say I wanted it for March 30th at 11:59. And then I could assign it to the topic of disc golf. The rubric tool is really cool too. So it's a scoring rubric tool. You can create the criterion title, describe it, tells you, say this is worth 2 points, this is 3. So level expert or level novice or level, or you could say poor, good, and excellent, and then describe the criteria for each of those 3 levels. I didn't use a rubric for this assignment, but it is a good tool that's there anyways. And then you can schedule the assignment to go out. You could save the draft, or I'm just going to discard the draft. But you'll see the other cool thing that I really like about this is all those assignments go into a Google Calendar, which is neat, that has all the due dates and stuff, and you can give that to your students as well. But the thing I really like is the class drive folder. So this was just created for me when I created the class. I didn't have to go in and create this. So you can see this contains all the quizzes I've made, the pre-assessment, and even this little untitled document that I just made in that little example I had. And then this assignment, the rules of disc golf, which I'll go to rules of disc golf right here. I had students submit a attachment, a screenshot for that assignment, and all that stuff, without me having to do anything, gets sorted right into here. So all their files are sorted right into there. I didn't have them name the files, but that would be a good procedure to teach students to name the files, so that I could organize that even a little bit better in this folder. But yeah, everything for my Google Drive files are all right here in this class folder without me even having to touch it. So I think that's a really cool part of this system. That's definitely a benefit that I like. And then the last thing I'll show you is the grading aspect. So when I click on grades, here's my grade book. It's sorted both at the top here by the assignment and on the side by the students. These are all just fake assignments with students that, most people didn't really try too hard to figure them out. But so you can just click on here. I'll use Professor Landry as an example. He completed these 2 before I made the rest of these, so he didn't get to these ones. But it has, so let's say he got a 13 out of 15. I'll give him some credit for rules of disc golf here. So I would enter that. It's going to save it as a draft, and then I can return it, or I can view the submission. He doesn't have a submission, so there's nothing really here, but I've given him a 13 out of 14. I can either return the submission here, or when I go to the submission, I can return it on this button right here. So I'll return that as 13 to 14. The student's going to be notified, and they can check any grade that I've left. I can give them comments. I can attach a file. I can give them a comment, different stuff like that, which is pretty neat. He'll get an email right here that he'll probably be pretty confused on because he didn't do this assignment. But anyways, that's the grading. It shows your student's overall grade over here. It shows the class average, which I think is cool for each assignment and for the class as a whole. So that's pretty neat feature of this as well. The one thing I would say that is a little bit annoying that I dislike at some level is that the Google Forms quizzes that you create do not directly input themselves into this system. So when I created the disc golf etiquette quiz, let's just look at that. So I go to Google Forms. First of all, when I click on the link, I wish it would take me to the editing view of me creating this Google Form so that I could look at the responses. It doesn't do that, which is a little bit annoying. So instead, I have to go to the class drive folder and find disc golf etiquette quiz. So when students give responses, these don't automatically, like if say somebody gets a 14 out of 15 or whatever on an assignment, that doesn't automatically, so disc golf etiquette, say somebody gets a 5 out of 10. If James were to get a 5 out of 10, that wouldn't input directly into here. I have to go individually, look for them, see what their grade is, and then input that manually. So that's a feature that I don't really love. I think it'd be a little bit more convenient if they were to kind of sync those up a little bit better. Not even sure if that's possible, but I would think it would be. I think that would be a huge benefit for me using Google Drive, and maybe I'm just missing the feature that allows you to do that. But I think that's an area for it to be improved. But overall, I like a lot of the stuff. I think the stream is good. It's pretty slick. Classwork, I love the ability to create classwork like this. The Google Drive folder is awesome because it does all the organizing for me. And I think the grading page is really well condensed, and it gives you all the information you need pretty clearly. So overall, I really like the learning management system of Google Classroom. I think it's good. It took me a little bit to figure out, but it wasn't too hard. I just think there are a couple things that could really push it over the top, with the quiz creation going right in there into the grading system. But like I said, maybe I'm just missing something there. Overall, though, really good. I would definitely give it a try in my class if given the opportunity. So that is what I've got for Google Classroom.